doing like cash advances on my credit cards. So in my mind, always had these ideas in my mind that I was going to go do cash advance on the credit card for whatever, $3, $4, $5,000, buy drugs with it. Once I'd make the money back, I'd go pay the credit card. But that never happened, because when you're selling at that level, the money's not coming in at the rate that you got it. So I'm selling to 10 different people. This guy owes me 500. This guy owes me 1,000. This guy owes me this, and they're not paying you all at once.
Right, because it depends on them
if they're selling it or if they're doing it all.
Right.
You don't even know. You know what I'm saying?
So if they do, they don't even pay you back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Tons of people owe me money, but so at that time I had probably dug myself into. I mean, maybe I had probably had like $30,000-$40,000 worth of debt at the time. But at the time, I had motorcycles, I had jet skis, I had stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that I wasn't making as much money as I should have been making, so I wasn't really paying. I wasn't able to really keep up with my bills and stuff. So my sister, one day, she thought that me filing bankruptcy was.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the podcast. And today I have Carlos here with me, and we're going to see how this man went from being bankrupt to a successful businessman. Carlos, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. What's going on, brother?
It's a pleasure for me. Yeah. Thank you for taking your time and sharing your amazing story with us.
Yep.
Before we get into details, I know that you recently purchased your fourth franchise, right?
Yep. Yes, I did.
So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
How's business going?
Believe it or not, business been really good. Coming out of the pandemic and everything, I've actually been able to grow the business immensely over the past 3 years. In the past 3 years, I've added three new locations.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And tell us how this journey has been from when you started, or even before you started, until being able to accomplish everything that you have accomplished till today.
Yeah. So I've been with Snap-on, so I'm a Snap-on franchisee, and I've been with Snap-on for about 10 years. Before that, I was a mechanic. Went to vocational high school, learned the automotive trade. Never really applied myself that much to studies and
Mm-hmm.
my education. But looking back, I can see that I feel like I had a lot more potential than what I applied myself with. But so I mean, how far you want? Where do you want me to start back, man? Because I can go. We'll be here for hours.
It's okay, man. We
got
time.
Yeah. So
even what led you to start the business, or how was your life before the Snap-on?
So growing up, I always wanted to. I thought I always wanted to own my own business.
Mm-hmm.
And then after high school, I just assumed I was going to become a mechanic, auto mechanic. So right after high school, I started working as an auto mechanic back in 1996, making $6 an hour.
Wow. Well, things weren't as expensive.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. So back then, I don't remember what minimum wage was, but I think it was maybe $1 more than minimum wage.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So obviously things.
You're doing good. You was doing good at the time.
Yeah, at the time, I was the man. But anyways, I was very passionate about cars. My dad was a mechanic, so growing up, I was always around cars, and I loved cars. So I did that for a while, and in my early 20s, I got involved with I started drinking. So a lot of this goes back to my substance abuse and stuff like that. So started drinking at a really young age, alcohol, and in that it spiraled into marijuana use and things like that. And when I got into my early 20s, me and my friends were partying, the lifestyle, nightclubs and things like that, and my drug use started getting into a little bit more serious drugs. And back then in the early 2000s, that was a big time where a lot of people were using like ecstasy and
Like
club and party
drugs,
drugs. Yeah,
right?
yeah. So, um, so what happened was at the time I was still working as an auto mechanic, but I wasn't really making enough money to provide for the lifestyle that I was starting to be involved with, going to nightclubs
Right.
2-3 days a week,
Buying the
drinking,
drugs,
buying the drugs to take.
Right.
So I had this idea that I was going to start selling. Yeah, dude. In my mind I was already thinking big. I'm like, oh, because I was thinking like a street level drug dealer, it's easier to get caught because you're out there, selling
hustling
to people.
on
Yeah,
the street.
yeah. So I was like more like, all right, I'm gonna buy like bigger quantities and sell to people who are selling.
Oh, so you wanted to be like the distributor
I was already thinking like I wanted to
be the supplier to the people on the street.
Yeah. So in the clubs, it was more like it's more of a club based thing. So we started out small, got in with some people and like really got in really deep over my head. Like I didn't come from that lifestyle. Um, and at one point I was probably providing like the whole like Massachusetts, like Boston, Massachusetts, and Providence with a large amounts of ecstasy.
Got really big.
Yeah. It got pretty big pretty fast.
Wow.
And eventually somebody told on me, and I got in. I was being investigated by the DEA and FBI, and back in April of 2002, I was arrested with possession intent to distribute, class A, B, C, and D. Yeah.
You have someone that just read it out on you?
Yeah, some guy that I was selling to, but I don't. I actually think he did me a favor though. Yeah, I mean, at the time I didn't think so.
Right.
At the time I didn't think so, but so he ended up, they ended up setting me up and got arrested, bailed out.
How long you was in jail for?
So I didn't go to jail yet. I got arrested and I bailed out.
Okay.
So my trial, I ended up getting indicted, and my trial went on for about 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah. I was out on bail for 3 years because it was my first offense, and my lawyer kept on continuing the case, pushing it out to try to see if that would allow me to not get into any more trouble, so that when the case went forward, it would be better on me.
They would see that you was doing good.
Yeah. I'm assuming that that's why he did that, because I actually didn't think I was, at the time, I don't know if I was just like oblivious or not really understood the law. I really didn't think I was going to go, like, serve any jail time because I was my first time getting into trouble.
Right.
I had no prior convictions or offenses or anything like that. So I stayed out on bail for like 3 years, and when I continued to sell drugs though while I was out on bail.
Oh.
But more out of necessity at that,
when you needed money
at that point,
time,
because now I got lawyers to pay.
Right.
I got people that I owed money to pay.
So trying to make more money or more bills.
At that point, I was just trying to pay off debts, and try to somewhat maintain the lifestyle that I had grown into.
So you were still, when you was out on bail, you were still kind of like out and partying and
still, but it was just different because my drug abuse got worse. I started getting involved with different cocaine and different things like that, meeting people, and then I started like really getting in with cocaine and selling cocaine and stuff like that.
Yeah, because now you have more trouble, so you're probably trying to get away.
Yeah. You got a lot of, you're just always, in the back of your mind that someone's gonna come get you, or it's not a really good way to live.
Right.
And in hindsight, when I did, when the court case finally went forward, my attorney's like, oh, the DA is gonna want some jail time, and I'm like, well, what do you mean? I've been out for 3 years, and now they want to put me in jail now. You know what I mean? and you know, I was confused, but anyways, I ended up pleading guilty to possession intent to distribute. You know, I don't remember exactly. I want to say it was like they might have dropped one, but
Mm-hmm.
I pled guilty, and then I got sentenced to 2 years.
Jeez.
2 years was my sentence. 2 years and 2 years probation. But before that, because of the drug abuse, I was you know, luckily I never got into like heroin or
Mm-hmm.
any really hard
Heavy,
drugs like
heavy drugs.
cocaine. I mean, I probably tried heroin and I didn't even know it was heroin. I didn't even
Uh-huh.
know because at
Make
that time people put drugs in front of your face and
right.
you just do it. You know, you don't really know what you're taking. But at the time, I was using drugs pretty heavily, and I didn't really have that much money. I started doing like cash advances on my credit cards. So in my mind, I had always had these ideas in my mind that I was going to go do cash advance on the credit card for whatever $3, $4, $5,000, buy drugs with it. Once I'd make the money back, I'd go and pay the
Pay the
credit
back.
card. But that never happened because when you're selling at that level, the money's not coming in at the rate that you got it. So I'm selling to 10 different people. This guy owes me 500. This guy owes me 1,000. This guy owes me this, and they're not paying you all at once.
Right, because it depends on them
If they're
when
selling it or
right,
if they're doing it
right.
all, you don't even know. You know what I'm
So if they
saying?
do, they don't even pay you back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Tons of people owe me money, but so at that time, I had probably dug myself into. I mean, maybe I had probably had like $30,000, $40,000 worth of debt at the time. But at the time, I had motorcycles, I had jet skis, I had stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that I wasn't making as much money as I should have been making, so I wasn't really paying. Like I wasn't able to really keep up with my bills and
Right.
stuff. So my sister one day she like thought that me filing bankruptcy was a good idea. Now this is before I went to jail.
Mm-hmm.
So that was something I always was actually very embarrassed about. I don't really talk about that to people. Well, out in the open, like if I'm talking to a
Right.
friend face to face or people face to face, I don't have a problem talking about that. It's kind of that's probably a pretty embarrassing thing for me
Mm-hmm.
financially. But I was only I was 24, 25 years old at the time. Um, and then we ended up in December of 2004. I filed a Chapter 7, I think it was, bankruptcy. So that actually got relieved a lot of my debt that I had. And in May, 6 months later, in May of 2005, I pled guilty to my drug charges. So at the time, you know, everything in hindsight, you look back, like me doing that, that was the best thing I needed at that time in
Right.
my life because it didn't put a burden financially on my family or on my
Mm-hmm.
girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, Jen. So at the time, it's my life was spiraling out of control. So um, pled guilty in May of 2005, and we're in a Dartmouth House of Correction, and we served a year, and I was able to get parole um, because of good behavior. I
Mm-hmm. So
paroled
got
out
out
after
early.
after a year. I was able to parole out after a year, and then I was on parole for 9 months, and at the same time running a 2-year probation. So I was on an ankle brace. I got out. I was on an ankle bracelet. I had to be home by like 10 o'clock at night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All these things, and already when I was in jail, obviously just like a lot of people, you find God while you're in jail. So when I got out, I was a pretty spiritual person. I had done some like different retreats and different things, and it kind of helped like me get my life back.
Back
Having
together.
God in
Yeah.
my life.
So before you continue, when you got out of jail, like, I mean, I don't know what went through your mind, but obviously you had two choices:
Mm-hmm.
either go back to your old life because you already knew how it was, or do something better with your life. Like, was it easy to make that decision? Did you think about going back to your old life?
At the time, I think like going to jail for that time period, it was a way for me to distance myself from the people that I was around.
Right.
So it opened up an opportunity for me to try to like start fresh. And, you know, I never once thought like, I never thought like to go back. You know, it was kind of weird. It was, my mind was just go back to work, you
What was
know.
the term to change?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because spiritually I had wanted to change my life that way. So at the time I started going back to church. Um, and I was always had my skill set as being an auto mechanic. So I went back to turning wrenches,
Mm-hmm.
what we call it, turning wrenches. And I was working hard. Um, I was able to get a job 2 weeks after I got out of jail
Wow.
with an ankle bracelet as a convicted felon.
Wow. Is it like that's hard because
Yeah, so a lot of people, I got lucky, or maybe it was God watching over
mm-hmm.
me. But however you want to look at it, I just didn't give up. I just kept applying at places until I got an opportunity.
Because
Eventually you find somebody that either doesn't care that you have a criminal record, or
right,
you find somebody that they don't like. They just don't really look that deep into your past.
right.
But you got to keep trying. And I feel like a lot of people they give up too easily.
Right, because you could have think like, all right, I have an ankle bracelet, I have a felony,
Yeah,
so I'm just gonna stay home because
yeah.
nobody's gonna give me a
Nobody's gonna
job.
hire me.
But you kept,
I
trying.
also always had that skill. I always had the mechanic to fall back on because I had, done 4 years of that in
Right.
high school, and then you figure I worked as a mechanic for about three years, 4 years before I went, before I got
Before
arrested. So
going, yeah.
I had some experience.
Right.
So I was able to find a job working at a car dealership, pretty much right away, and luckily my support system, my family, the people that really meant the most to me, they had my back. Like they were there to help me out. So at night I started like developing like my own like automotive repair business on the side.
Oh, okay.
So I was working cars out of my
Oh, your
house.
house.
My parents' house at the time. I renting an apartment off my parents, and um, they my dad let me work in the driveway, and I was just started like doing that,
Doing your own thing.
doing my own thing. I
Right.
started like somebody hooked me up. They gave me a car that had a blown engine. Well, actually, one of my family members, and they gave it to me. They were like, "Here, if you want to fix it up, sell it, do whatever you want with the money to get back on your feet."
You had a lot of support in your
Yeah,
family.
I had a good support system. Like my mom and my dad really there to help out while my girlfriend, they allowed my girlfriend to live in the apartment for free while I was in
Mm-hmm.
jail. My dad helped with like some of my finances while I was in jail, and you know that's one thing I always like tell people when you're trying to do the right thing and you're trying to do your best, and people are gonna recognize that in you, and they're gonna see that, and they're gonna naturally want to help you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? When you're helping yourself and doing your best, people will
You
recognize
will
that,
see
and they're gonna
the
naturally want to
difference
help
in
you.
it.
They
Yeah.
see a difference in you. So I was having people help me, along the way, and I started just buying junk cars, fixing them up, selling them. I asked my wife when I got out of jail. Um, Within a few months, 5 months later, I think I asked my girlfriend to marry me.
Oh, you
Yeah,
you got all like
yeah.
all right.
I hit the ground running, bro. I wasn't turning back. I don't know. I don't know really what power came over me. I
Mm-hmm.
just didn't think to look back. But the thing is I was so used to this lifestyle
Right.
of
That's
spending money foolishly, on stupid things. So it's very difficult to humble yourself and come
mm-hmm.
back down to earth and have a regular job. And I always liked having nice things. When I grew up as a kid, we didn't have much.
Yeah. I mean, everybody
Yeah,
does.
yeah. So you know, that's why I was working for myself on the side, making
Make
some
extra
money,
money.
making extra money. And yeah, I mean, that first year I got out. I mean, my credit wasn't good, obviously, because I had filed
Yeah.
bankruptcy 2 years, a year and a
You
half
had no
prior.
credit.
Had no
Yeah.
credit, bad credit. And the first thing was Snap on when I was a mechanic, I had my own Snap on Tools dealer, and I used to buy tools off of him. And Snap-on, we offer financing to our customers.
Mm-hmm.
and we have different type of credit programs. And at the time, my Snap-on dealer, he was able to get me finance, even though I had bad credit, for me to be able to buy some tools that I needed for work.
Wow.
So that was like really one of the first ways that I was able to start like rebuilding my credit from that.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really have much money yet, but I pretty much went and asked I went to Hanush Jewelers with my father, and my father co-signed a credit card for me to buy my wife, my future wife,
Right.
engagement ring. And, so that happened, that was in October. We got married the following November, but I still stayed working as a mechanic
Mm-hmm.
and fixing cars, selling cars, you know, um, and things were going really well for me. I always had money in my pocket. I didn't feel broke. Life was good. My wife and I were involved at church and everything like that. Well, she wasn't my wife at the time yet,
Yeah. Future
but my future
wife to
wife.
be.
Yeah. Um, you know, so it kept work. I kept working, hustling, just motivated. And then I wanted to open my own business. I always thought I'd open up my own garage, but ended up getting married in November of 2007. You know, and bought my house
Wow.
in like a year or two after that. And
Everything like
yeah,
happened so fast, you know?
yeah. I was determined. I was determined to move forward. Excuse me. I was determined to get ahead in life.
It's like you're saying like, oh, 1 year, a few months later, 1 year later. So it's like everything happened so fast.
Yeah, man. Like I said, when people see you like doing the right thing,
Yeah.
people want to help you. You know what I'm saying? So, and I was hustling and I was doing the right thing. Like I was honest. I always been like I care a lot about other people and just trying to help people.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a lot of business because I was very honest with how I did my auto repairs and things like that. That I built up my clientele pretty big. And in 2008, actually, my Snap-on dealer was like, "Hey, you ever thought about becoming a Snap-on dealer?" He's like, "I think you'd be good at this."
Oh, the guy that was selling
The
the
guy that
tools.
sold me the tools,
Right.
yeah. And I had actually always kind of like, you know, through my career, saw like Snap-on as like seemed like a cool job,
Mm-hmm.
and like my Snap-on dealers seemed like they had like good lives. They didn't look like they were like
Rich.
rich, but they had good like
Mm-hmm.
camper, whatever it is, campers,
Comfortable.
comfortable
Right.
life, motors, whatever they wanted, they had. You know, and I always looked at that as like a pretty cool job, but I never thought that was something that I could become a part
Right.
of. So in 2008, I actually tried to get in, but my credit wasn't good enough at the time, so it never really went anywhere.
Right.
So I just kept working, and when I bought my house with my wife, we did some repairs to the house, and a family member let us borrow some money to do those
Mm-hmm.
repairs. And after moving into the house, we just kept working, and ended up paying them back pretty quickly. And this all has some significance into my new career. And life was good. I was working. I worked my way up in the automotive business that I was in with at my job.
Mm-hmm.
Was making pretty nice money doing that. Plus, I had my side thing going. So I was getting to a turning point in my life where I, that thing of me owning my own business was really like in the back of my mind.
Right. Because you was already doing side
Yeah,
jobs, so
yeah,
you was
yeah,
already
yeah,
thinking about doing your own
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah. So when in 2012, again, I had moved jobs a couple times,
Mm-hmm.
and in 2012, that Snap-on dealer, I was still friends with him. He was like, "Hey, there's a route going to be opening up. You ever thought about, you might want to try to get into this again?" And I was like, at that point, I was like, "All right, I'm going to open my own garage." I was going to leave this job and go do something else. Like, I felt like at that point, I was like maxed out financially with my job, not my side thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know what, let's see,
Try it.
let's try it. But again, I'm a convicted felon. My credit obviously was been getting better, but bought my house and stuff like that. So that became a very stressful process to get into Snap-on.
Right, because like you said, you're convicted
Yeah,
felonies, so it's like it's pretty much. I'm not gonna say impossible because you did it, but it's very hard to own
yeah,
your. I don't even. I know someone that he got a business, he got arrested, but he had to put in his wife's name
yeah,
because you can't even have stuff
yeah.
on your
Certain
own
certain
name.
businesses, yeah, certain businesses they don't allow convicted felons to
Right.
own. I don't think convicted felon could own like a bar or something like
Uh huh.
that. There's certain
Okay.
things, certain
Right. Right.
businesses they don't allow in certain states too. They don't allow. Um, so it went on for 6 months. Excuse me. It went on for 6 months of the application process, going through, talking to the recruiter, talking to this guy. And I knew multiple Snap-on dealers at the time because I had had different jobs in the
Right.
different places. Sometimes you get different Snap-on dealers. So these guys were like talking to corporate for me, like, hey, just talk to this guy. You know, he's a good guy and all this stuff. So one day they call me in. They wanted me to go to the regional office, which is in like Marlboro right now, and they gave me an opportunity to go in there and talk to them. Excuse me. So when I went up there, obviously I'm nervous. I'm in my early 30s at this point,
Going to the interview.
going into this interview where I have to like pretty much I have to sell my what I'm gonna bring to the
Right.
table. Like I had to bring something to the table, or else because on paper it was no good,
No good. Yeah.
trash.
On paper, you
Yeah,
can't
they
look at
actually
that.
told me that. They told me that like on paper, Carlos, normally we would pass up on somebody like you.
Right. And the thing is, like, these people don't know you,
They don't.
so they all they know about you is what you have on paper.
Yes,
So
yes.
they
The
don't know
thing,
what's how you the man that you have become at that point.
right? And the thing is, the good thing for me is that obviously the person I had contact with was the recruiter.
Hmm.
He was a very good guy, and he obviously saw something in me that he thought was worth having me talk to them with, and also having the other Snap-on dealers also, talking to them.
Right.
So, anyways, went up, had this interview. I feel like it was like a 3 hour, 4 hour interview, and really the biggest thing was they were worried about is I'm representing a brand with 100-year history. At the time 90 something years
Hmm.
history, and that name has a very prestigious reputation. And their concern was, how could I assure them that I wouldn't be selling drugs off the Snap-on
Right.
truck? Because it actually is a real thing that could happen.
Really?
Yeah,
Well,
because some of the
yeah.
clients, some of the people you're dealing with, you're dealing with all different types of people, and you know the situation that we're in, you could very come across people that you could sell drugs to.
So they probably already had the cases like
Yeah, sure. You never know. Yeah, maybe at some point. So obviously, I sold myself to them, and they were willing to give me an opportunity, and they did. So that was in January. So I hit the road in my first truck in January of 2013.
Oh, that's when I met you because 10 years ago I met you 2013, and I remember you already had the first
That was the only
franchise, so
one
you
that I
were
had at the time.
starting at the
Yeah, I was
time.
just getting started.
You said January.
January of
Right. I
2013.
met you in, I would say April, something like
Okay,
that.
yeah.
So you was just
Yeah, so I
starting.
just get it
Yeah.
going. Yeah, so you
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 was
know you've seen me come along,
right.
how we've developed through this. Um, and the one thing I want to say in hindsight about like credit and things like that, I think there's not enough um, education for like the youth and like young adults, teenagers coming through high school. There's just not enough education out there, and we're not educating the kids to understand about life,
Financial wise.
financials, like knowing about all the financial responsibilities that they're going to have, what's important for them to need.
Yes.
I come across people that are like 30 years old that don't even have credit. They don't have credit. They got bad credit, you know, And the thing is, luckily for me, after filing bankruptcy, I really learned my lesson of how credit could really screw you up.
Right.
But also, credit is a great thing because I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for credit.
Good. Yes, that's one thing that I learned because I was the same thing. I don't need credit. I don't want credit. Everybody's like, no, you need credit. You need. I'm
Yeah.
like, no. But actually, I found out that when I started buying things, that you need credit for like everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can have the cash to buy it,
Yep.
but you need the
Yeah.
credit, which is it's kind of stupid, but that's how the system works.
Yeah, it's just the system that we live in. But a lot of people they get hung up, but they don't want to owe anybody money. They don't want to. The thing is, when you're in business, there's certain debt within your business that's good to have. And it allows you to grow your business at a rate that you could never grow with your own cash.
Right. Because you start in like you have like an advance like that card gives
Yeah,
you
you
like
have
a
it gives you some money in the bank
right
to work with when you need it to be able to do the things that you want to do in business. And I think that the system needs to do a better job either in the schools or even there's parents. Parents need to teach their kids about finances and things like that.
The thing is, a lot of the parents don't know, so
Yeah.
they can't pass it
Yeah,
on
yeah,
to
yeah, of course. But the information's out there. We just got to do a
Right,
better job
right.
of getting that to the people,
Yes.
at a younger age, so that they don't make some of the mistakes
Yeah.
that we make or that I've made.
Right. I just read a book, Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yep.
It just finished the book and it changed like the way I think like about money. It's like we really need to know about finances. Like you need to know about how money works.
Listen, the most powerful thing in business is knowing that you can go somewhere and get $1 million.
How to go somewhere and
Go somewhere and get $1 million. To get $1 million without credit, take you forever. Because you got bills to pay, family to feed, all these things, and then you're trying to save up money. That's the other thing. People think they want to put money in the bank. Money in the bank is good to a point. You need to try to invest that money into different things that can help to make your money work for you.
Right, because if it's just sitting in the bank, it's not doing
nothing. It's not doing nothing. You could always, obviously the stock market and things like that, where it's very volatile right now, but there's a lot of things you can do with 401ks and retirement plans that you can start putting that money into, that you could borrow it back if you needed it, if you ever needed it for something. But at least that money in that 401k, it's working for you.
Yeah, investing in some way.
You put $200 a week in a 401k instead of $200 a week in the bank. Your $200 in 401k is going to grow at a much larger rate than some money sitting in the bank. But sorry, not to get off topic. That's very. I think that's a very important thing. And obviously, I'm here so I can just try to help get that message out there to people, because sometimes people were just so small-minded and we think we put limitations on ourselves, and sometimes we don't ever meet what our potential is because of these different things that hold us back. But anyway, so 2013, bought my business. The first year was a great year. Won awards that year. Things were going great. Corporate guys were very happy with my.
Proud of you.
Yeah, they were very proud of me. And that's always been something that I've always felt like an underdog, and I was never really good at anything, or I never really applied myself, may it be sports or anything that allowed me to be good at something.
Right.
I was good at selling drugs because I made a lot of money, but I was good on that part of it. The management of the drug business was very, very poor. I spent a lot of money, easy come, easy go.
Right. So but like a good thing is that you took that same skill of selling And that's what you do today. Just
yeah,
selling tools.
yes, and yeah. So a funny thing, I don't like to glorify that part of my life, but that part of my life was necessary to get me to where I'm at
Yes.
right now. The thing is that I always tell people my first real experience in running a business was dealing drugs.
Yeah. I always tell my wife that 'cause I know you're a good salesman.
Yeah.
I tell my wife that you can steal something from someone and sell it back to them because you're good at selling.
Yeah.
You know,
And I think I think a lot of that comes to do with your personality
right.
and how you make the people that you're dealing with, how comfortable you make them
How you
feel.
talk to people.
Yeah. You know, and that's a very strong skill set to have, of being able to have people trust you, that you have their best interest in mind, and that you're going to do your best to help them and stuff like that. And then that's going to help you when you're doing your sales.
Right, because you have to make people think like, what makes me buy from this guy?
Yeah. So, when I went in my interview, I actually told Snap on that. I said, I don't want to glorify my drug dealing, but that was my first experience that I had at operating a business.
And I was good at this. I was good at selling.
Yeah. I was good. I was, I made a lot of money, but I squandered it all away.
I didn't know how to manage your money.
Yeah. I was blowing it as fast as it was coming in. You got friends hanging out with you. You got, everybody's doing drugs. Everybody's partying, limousines, VIPs and clubs, fancy clothes, fancy things.
Because that's another thing too. Like the influence, like your friends, or like they go, I'm going. If I don't go, they go, why you're not coming out?
Yeah.
So you get influenced by that lifestyle and your friends too.
Yeah. And the thing is that don't get me wrong, there's people out there that are successful drug dealers, never got caught, never got in trouble. They may have money, all these things. That just wasn't me. I didn't have enough experience. My run at doing that wasn't very long, a couple years at most, but I got caught.
It's like a very risky lifestyle. Even if you don't get caught, but someday something's gonna happen.
Listen, man, you either end up dead, or in jail, drug addicts. There's not too many people. I mean, you look at some of the biggest drug dealers, dude. They can't run. You can't run forever.
Right.
I mean, they just got Chapo, dude. You know what I mean?
You run to one place, but you always hide.
Yeah. You're always worried people are gonna come up on you and try to rob you.
It's like you have all this money, but you can even really enjoy it because you're hiding.
Yeah. That's the thing. People don't get it. They think, again, it's a small minded. You got cash. I get it. Cash is good. But you could have 300 grand in cash that you can't use that to open up a legitimate business because the IRS is going to be all over you. Where'd you get that money? You know what I'm saying? So the thing is, the lifestyle, unless you're able to switch over to something legitimate,
right? You can
in some kind of manner.
Money,
you can do things. But most drug dealers, dude,
don't have
they got cars and fancy clothing and stuff, but they don't got nothing else outside of that. The ones who do, it's such a small number.
Right.
It's such a small number. When I went to jail, I had one thing left from drug dealing. It was a Movado watch that I bought.
Oh no! I got one right there.
It was at the time Movado was like the watch, like everybody wanted that.
Yeah.
And I was, in hindsight, it was such an embarrassing situation. I went to the jewelry store, and I had $5 bills and $10 bills, and I bought an $890 watch with 5s and 10s left.
Well, sometimes I go somewhere and I see someone pulling out like a stack of money.
Oh, dude.
I don't walk around with money.
So back then, dude, I'd go to the gas station and go buy a pack of gum, and I'd pull out a big knot of money. It's like, why, dude? That's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous that I don't even think people realize that it's ridiculous. And then all the stuff you see, it glorifies that type of lifestyle.
Yeah.
And you're seeing too many kids coming up and not having any real direction. And they think that's like the way to make money, easy way to make money. They want it easy.
Because like you said, like they want to live like a expensive lifestyle. Sometimes they see celebrities and, they want to be like them. And and I'm not gonna say selling drugs is like an easy way to make money, but it's a
Fast
fast
way.
way to make
Yeah,
money.
yeah, it's a fast
So,
way.
you know, they get into this lifestyle and this path thinking like, all right, I'm gonna be a boss, I'm gonna make my money, I'm gonna buy my things. But it's like at some point, like we said, you gotta either go to jail or get killed. And you
Yeah,
see every day, like
yeah, you see
young
it.
kids,
Oh yeah,
gangs and
yeah, yeah,
15, 16 dying. It's like, bro,
yeah. Yeah,
too young for that. Like whole life in
it's
front of you.
wild. It's wild, man. But going forward to the Snap-on thing, I've excelled at it, done really well in it, and yeah, pretty much. Sometimes guys joke around. It's like I'm still a drug dealer, except instead I'm selling like chrome tools
Yeah.
instead of drugs. And I tell people, yeah, except I can sleep at night. You know, now what I'm providing people with is an opportunity for them to make money.
And you're in peace now.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm good,
not
dude.
running from no.
I'm good.
Nothing, nobody.
I'm good, man. Every day I go to work. So for the people that don't really understand what Snap-on is and how it works, is we're a tool. Snap-on is a tool manufacturer, and then the franchise system with the distributors for the tools. And the product that we sell is a premium price product, but it's also made of the best quality materials. Majority of our products are still made in the USA, and the tool was invented was for professionals. That's why you don't see us in like Home Depot and these other different stores like Lowe's and hardware stores.
You guys sell directly.
We sell directly to the professionals.
Right.
We sell directly to the user of the tools, and we actually so I finance a majority of the tools being sold off my truck. So a customer can come on my truck, buy $1,000 worth of tools, interest free, and they pay me back, $50 to $100 a week. And they keep paying that bill down until the next time when they buy something. And it just keeps going. I mean,
they can keep buying it.
They can keep buying.
Financed it before.
Yeah, they keep buying. Yes, and it just keeps. It's a revolving account. It's a revolving account. So continually they keep investing into their tool collection.
Right.
And what they're doing, they're investing into their careers. When I sell you a set of wrenches, I'm allowing you today to use those set of wrenches and provide for your family, and you haven't even paid me yet.
Right.
I mean, how powerful is that?
Right. Because even if they don't have the money at the time, they use the tools and make money.
Yeah, and then they can put food on the table.
Right.
They can put diapers on their kid. And that's the thing. I look at that stuff in my business, and that helps me stay motivated to go out every day, because I truly feel that I am helping people. I'm doing God's work.
No, I never actually thought about that, because you could have think like, your motivation could be like, oh, I'm a businessman, I own these trucks, but your motivation is actually like being able to help other people
while making money. So I tell my customers, we should both be making money right now. I'm making money off selling you the tools, and you're making money off using the tools. And a lot of people they get hung up on like the money that they invest into their tools, and because again, it's a premium price. So you could have a mechanic over the course of his career, he could spend from $50,000 to $80,000, $100,000 in tools, over the course of his career. And when you actually break it all down, people need to look more as at their return on their investment on their tools. So those tools, that $80,000 that you spent, let's say you started working on cars when you were 25 years old, and you worked from 25 to 65, 40 years, right? Let's say an average salary of a mechanic, throughout the course of his 40-year career, let's say it's $50,000 a year. So, and he invested $80,000 into his tools. Yeah, so let's say he made $2 million. So in 40 years, he made $2 million off of $80,000.
Yeah.
If you could tell any business owner out there that, hey, if you invest $80,000, I'll promise you $2 million in 40 years, anybody would take that offer. Yeah. But the thing is, most people don't look at it that way.
They look at it probably like just,
oh, that's too expensive.
Yeah.
Oh, that stuff's too expensive. I can't afford it. I can't, and they buy cheap stuff.
they look at it like short period of time. They
Yeah,
don't look
yeah,
ahead.
yep, yep. And then you don't remember that they're actually making money with the tools that they're buying. That's
Right.
like me. I go out and sell tools out of a truck. An average Snap-on truck costs anywhere between 150 to 250,000, depending on how big
Mm-hmm.
and what.
Oh, they have different sizes.
Yeah, different sizes, different. You could customize the whole thing. That truck after 20 years is not worth 200,000, but that truck helped me make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. People need to look at is investing in a quality product that's going to last you for a long period of time, so that you can make money with that product, and you have somebody there to service you and service that product throughout your career. And that's what we do.
Yeah, because they can buy like a cheap tool.
They buy cheap tool.
Buy 2, 3, 4.
You know what? You know many people. A lot of people, like older guys, even younger guys, when they tell me they use cheap tools, I tell them to show me their hands, and a lot of times they're missing fingers. They're missing fingers. Their hands are all beat up, and a lot of that comes with maybe not having the right tool for the job,
Yeah.
or using cheap tools. And it's just a joke I tell people. When a guy tells me he uses cheap tools, I always tell him, show me your hands. Show me your hands. I got like one guy missing a point of his finger. Yeah, dude. So it's like, isn't your finger worth more, than a $25 cheap tool?
Yeah, because you can provide like the right tool.
Yeah, right tool for the job. Right tool for the job, and that's what we do. And over the past 10 years, I've been able to go out there, build a reputation for myself. We have probably about with my new location, I just bought a fourth location, like you said. With the new location, we have over 1,000 customers.
Wow.
300 of them I haven't really met yet. I haven't started doing business with them. But we have about 700 to 750 people right now that we do business with in 3 locations. So in the past 10 years, 3 or 4 years in, I bought a second business, kept that for a little while, had some staffing issues, and I felt that the best course of action at that time was just to sell one off. Sold it off to one of my employees, and I went back down to one for probably like a year or two, and then I bought my second again. I went back to 2. Then a year and a half later, went back to 3, and then now we just bought 4.
Another one.
Yeah,
it's growing, man.
Yeah, when you are good at something, and you have the right support system around you. For me, it's my family, my wife especially. My wife's been very supportive of me in this journey, where she always tells me, like, sometimes I ask her to give me a little more input. Like, I want her to tell me I'm crazy.
That's what my wife tells me.
I want my wife to tell me I'm crazy, but she's like, no, I trust you, and I have faith that you're gonna go out there and you're gonna do a good job, and you're gonna provide for our family and do what you need to do.
That's very, very good, because if you didn't have that support, probably you wouldn't be where you are.
No, definitely. And the credit thing. If I don't have good, like now, 20 years later, if I didn't have good credit, I would never be in the position that I'm in. I mean, once you establish yourself and you do well, Snap-on, they see that. And if you're a good representation of what they want to do, they're going to allow you to expand. Right. As long as you have employees in place. We just hired a new guy, so we have 4 great employees. But the 3 that have been with me the longest, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here in the position.
You can't do it by yourself.
You can't do nothing by yourself. Yeah. It's very difficult these days to do anything by yourself. So you have to assemble a good team around you. You got to assemble like-minded people around you. And you got to be there to help try to motivate your people. And you got to take care of your people financially. Yeah. You got to pay. You got to pay. If you want to get good quality employees, you have to pay. You got to give somebody an honest wage where they can grow their life, you start a family, buy a house, all those things.
Yeah, that's what the difference between a boss and a leader.
Yeah.
Because you can't just think like, I'm just gonna go on vacation, leave my guys
run
the business.
Yeah. Things your business will tumble.
Yeah. Yeah, because you gotta be around and take care of the employees because
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
the ones at some like making the money for you. You know,
yeah. With
they,
with with our, with any employer, you know, with the direction of the employer and management or whatever it is, whatever the size of your business is, um, you know, you have to keep the team, in line
yeah,
with the same goals in mind. You hear a lot of people like, oh, I don't, like, they get lazy because they see their boss always golfing, always doing this, always that, and they're like, oh, that guy's never here. Why should I care
if he
about his
doesn't
business if
care
he doesn't
what,
care
yeah,
about his business? And the thing is that that's not it's not a good it's not a good mindset as an employee, for one, because he doesn't know the struggle behind managing that business.
hmm,
That guy could have been in business for 20 years, 10 years, 15 years, and working 12, 14-hour
right,
days to get to that point to where he can go golfing.
yeah,
And he should go golfing. He
yeah,
deserves that.
yeah, deserve.
You deserve that. I mean, why do we want to work and grow financially so we can have financial freedom and be able to enjoy our lives? That's the thing. A lot of jealous people. Jealousy is one of the worst things. Jealousy is one of the worst things because a lot of people, they see what you have, and instead of
Working to get there,
working to maybe talk to you,
mhm,
to ask you, what did you do to get there?
right,
That's the thing people forget. Either through social media or whatever it is, people see you. People are going to see you no matter what. People see you driving nice cars. If people see you with nice clothes, people see you out at nice restaurants, people are going to like throw shade at you and like hate on you. But in my mind, if you know that person, why wouldn't you reach out to that person and say, hey, listen, man, I see what you have and I like what you have. What'd you do to get
right.
there?
Trying to learn some,
Yeah, like
learn
that's,
something.
and that's what's not enough of that with the younger generation, or like your peer, and your peers, people tend to like have negative opinions
Yeah, to
about
hate
someone's
on
success.
people like that. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's like a lot of people, they don't know my story, dude. Whatever I have, I've I've worked for that. I deserve everything I
yeah,
have. I
definitely,
deserve to go on vacation. I
definitely.
deserve nice cars. And it's not because I deserve it because I earned it.
Yeah, you went through a lot, and you work hard to get to where
Dude,
you are
yes,
today. You know,
this isn't easy, man. This isn't owning your own business isn't easy. Expanding your business, growing, having employees is not easy, man.
a lot of people think being a boss it's going on vacation.
Yeah, they don't get it,
But
dude.
it's
Like,
different.
all the society these days, they just want to see a quick buck, and they want it the easiest way possible.
Yes, easy money.
And unfortunately, that is not the norm. That's an exception. Those things happen sometimes. Most of the time, it's through hard work. Hard work will always beat out anything else.
Yes.
I heard a story the other day from a guy, one of my customers' garages, and there's always a Lexus parked outside, like an LS 500 Lexus, big one, probably like $100,000 car. So, I like cars, so I see the car, and I thought the car belonged to the owner. So I said, hey, that's a nice Lexus you got there. He goes, that's not mine. That's my employees.
Wow.
So really, I was confused. I
Right.
was blown away. I wasn't expecting that. So, anyways, I never really got into it a little more. And then another person, I was discussing that with somebody else, and the other person happened to know the guy who owned the Lexus. And he said, that guy right there, that guy is committed. That guy worked at that place, and he would put in 100 hours a week sometimes. 100 hours a week. He probably wasn't getting paid a ton of money, but his commitment and his dedication put him in a position to where he could work a lot and save the money and maybe build up his credit and then be able to go out and buy that Lexus.
Probably invest on something.
Yeah, whatever it is. I mean, it could have took him, he could have been doing 100 hours a week for 20 years. Who knows? We don't know. I don't know the full story
Right.
about this guy. But what I see there is a level of commitment and determination and shows you that you don't have to be the smartest guy. You don't have to be, you just have to be a hard worker. Hard work is, I feel like hard workers make it further in life than smart people.
Well, that's,
If that makes any sense.
I don't know. That's gonna make me think for a while, but
Yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna think about that for the
yeah,
rest of
yeah,
the day
yeah,
because
yeah. Because the thing is, if you have the mindset that you're going to be the best at whatever it is that you're doing at that moment in time. So when you get a teenager and he starts working at McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, or whatever, parents should be teaching that kid that don't discredit the type of job that it is. Whatever job it is, be your best at it.
yes,
So I don't care if you're the person making those sandwiches in the morning. Make the best sandwiches.
if you're clean and be the best.
Make the best sandwiches. What's the worst thing when you go to a breakfast place, you get your sandwich and the cheese is all falling off the side, the bacon's not even on the sandwich. It's like, come on, have a little bit of like have a little pride in what you do. It doesn't matter what you do, just have pride in what you do.
We see a lot of people like go into like, especially like fast food place or whatever, they deal with people, and you can tell in their face they don't want to be there.
Yeah,
bro, I'm just buying something.
Right.
Why you have to be rude?
Yeah. It's like, unfortunately in this world, well, fortunately and unfortunately in this world, there's a lot of people here, and there's a lot of jobs that need to be done. The problem we're running into is that people don't want to. They are entitled and they feel like they don't want to do certain jobs. The problem is that your social media influencer, he still has to eat. The restaurants still need to be there. The waitresses and waiters and kitchen staff still needs to be there. Wants to buy a nice car, rich person wants to buy a nice car. If there's no mechanics to work on the cars, there's going to be no cars.
Yeah. Every job is necessary.
Right. So in every chain of material thing out there, whatever that may be, food or items, houses, things, there's a lot of jobs that go into that.
Yeah.
And that's why you see there's like sometimes you see a meme on social media that says, people say there's $1 million car right there, and the people are like, oh, you could have did something with that $1 million to help mankind. And then when it says I did help mankind,
right? Because
the factory workers who built that car, the people who work and maintain the car, the people who work at the dealership who sold you the car, that $1 million car put a lot of people to work. And it put food on the table for a lot of people.
Never really thought about that, but that's true.
You know what I mean? It's people don't they see. I feel like I think like very like deep into certain situations and different things, that it all goes back. There's a lot of things that are intertwined and connected. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes I think, I like nice things, and sometimes I feel like I could do a little bit more for like charity and stuff like that. But I do like to help people whenever I can. And now I deal with this where like, all right, I'm getting older, I'm amassing these things. Yeah, I want to buy like properties and cars, whatever it is that I like. I want those things. But part of me is like, well, I should be using that money to help people. But at the end, I'm like, well, what if I get about all these things and then I die and I just leave whatever is left to the poor? You kind of like weigh it out. It's like, they're both good.
Both good, yeah.
They're both good, So that's why like it's a constant battle with me when it comes, because people think that owning your own business, the only reason why you do it is it's for money. Like, yeah, I do it for money, financial stability, and obviously for bettering my future, my retirement plans and things like that. But also, while I'm able to, if I could share the gifts that God gave me, either through my time, my talents, whatever it is, I could help people, or even like the treasure that I've been able to have. All that comes from God. So a lot of times I don't even really worry about money, because no matter what, I've never been put in a position where I wasn't able to pay the bills or whatever. I just leave it in God's hands. And a lot of people think, oh, I leave it in God's hands, and they sit here and wait.
No.
Oh yeah.
Money's not gonna
Yeah,
fall.
yeah. You know, and so like the thing is that when you can put your faith into something and know that there's, you know, if you want to, if you're not very religious, like a higher power, whatever it is, when you put that faith in that, it takes a lot of the stress off of you,
Definitely.
you know.
Yeah.
And
You know
I,
that someone got you like
yeah.
like
Like
you.
I mean, I have a little story. I went. Money's been a little tight right now because I've been, you know, having to buy things for the business, and I had to go to the registry, and I was like dreading because I know at the registry you stop paying the sales tax and this.
Yeah.
You pay the sales tax on $100,000 thing, you know,
That's yeah.
it's a lot of money. So I'm like stressed out, and I'm like, damn, I'm gonna have more money just coming out of me. And then I get up there, and the lady was very helpful at the registry, and she says, "Oh, we're just gonna transfer the plates and do this. It's gonna cost only $25." Because the truck I didn't have to pay the sales tax because it's a lease.
Okay.
It's a lease, so I'll pay the sales tax when I buy the truck when the lease is up. But yeah, so $25. See, and I was like, man, God is good.
Thank you.
God is good, bro. You know what I mean? He's always got my back
That's
all the
good.
time.
And since you mentioned that you like to help people and do charity, I know that you did something like a very kind act, and back in I don't know where a few years ago you helped
Yeah,
victims of a hurricane
yeah.
incident.
So I believe it was Hurricane Harvey at the time,
Yeah,
and I mean I've told the story before,
yeah.
but
But what like
yeah,
motivated you
yeah.
to do
So again, I was I mean it was God ultimately, but you know Hurricane Harvey had passed and he had really bad floods. It was in Houston, Texas, really bad floods. And one day, one of my customers says to me, he goes, Spanish guy, and my Spanish customer, they call him Matias.
that?
Matias, what are you doing for the victims of the hurricane? And I'm like, oh, I haven't really done anything yet. And that got me like thinking. He says, well, why don't you buy a case of water? They're collecting cases of water over there at this place, whatever it was. So that once he said that to me, it stuck with me, and I was like, man, you know, I have way more to offer than a case of water. And you know, I slept on it for a little while, not really knowing what I was gonna do, and excuse me. And I came up with this idea. I was gonna go to Houston, bro. I never gonna go to like I've never done anything like this in my life. I was like, I'm gonna go to Houston. I'm gonna go to Houston. So at this point, you know, a lot of times you say something, but you don't
You
ever
don't do
actually
it.
do it. You know. So I think in the back of my mind, like I was hoping that
You wasn't gonna
something,
do
but something like
it.
I wasn't going to be able to do it. But at the time, I had two employees, so I had my guys can go out and run the truck for me. Um, so I started asking anybody if they want to go with me to Houston. A couple people showed some interest. You know, one of my buddies wanted to go, and then you know decided that he couldn't for whatever reason. And I put it on Facebook, hey, anybody not working that might want to go travel to Houston to go help out the hurricane victims?
People probably half of the people. This guy's crazy.
Yeah. So so one of my buddies, Chef Joe Rigo, give him a shout out.
Yeah.
He responds to my post and he says, "Yeah, I'll come." And in my head, I'm like, "Damn, bro, now I gotta go." Because before, if nobody said they were gonna go, I'm not gonna go by myself. So you know, I was thinking I was gonna have an opportunity to not follow through with what I said.
Now you're
Because now I'm committed. I guess somebody that says they want to go. So I'm like, all right. So he wants to go. So then we come up with a plan. I'm like, all right, dude. Like, you know, a lot of people. You do a lot of charitable works. I said, now we got to try to see if we could raise some money so that we can go down there with some supplies to go help the people. So he started asking. I started asking some of my customers if they could help, and you know, raise a little bit of money, not too much. But I was going to put in some of my own personal money. That was already my intention.
your plan.
So I think we went to BJ's and we probably maybe were like, I don't remember exact, but let's say between $1,500 and $2,000
worth of like
we went to
stuff
beat.
that
Yeah, we went there and we bought that
buys.
much money's worth of stuff, and you know, and we were planning on going. So one of my customers says to me, he goes, "Hey, you should do a GoFundMe," and I'm like, I didn't even know what GoFundMe was at that time. So he's like, "Dude, it's a thing online that you could do online, raise money online for a charity." He's like, "If you do that, I'll donate to you." So all right. So I did that, and like it was up there for a few days. Maybe got like 100, $200. Didn't really get much. So me and my buddy, we ended up loading. We rented a van, loaded all the food and different things that we had bought, and we started like journeying down to Houston. I didn't know how to get to Houston, so we just had to jump on the highway and GPS and just start going. So as we're going, we're like putting up videos, like recording us on Facebook and stuff. We start putting up videos up of us going and doing all these things. I posting pictures online, and we drove for like 18 hours, bro, straight through. Stop at a hotel for a couple hours. I had been drinking Red Bulls, bro. So we go to a hotel. I didn't even sleep. We're in a hotel for a few hours. I'm like staring at the ceiling because I've been drinking. I probably drank like 3 or 4 Red Bulls trying to stay awake during the drive.
Yeah.
So we were at the hotel for a couple hours, and then we jumped back on the road. We drove another 13 hours. So 31 hours total to get to Houston. And when we went there, we still didn't really have a plan of where we were going to stay, where we were going to sleep. So before we left, we didn't have a plan. On the way there, a friend of mine, his company got contracted to go down there because there was a lot of cars that were flooded, and he had a tow company. So he got contracted to go down there and tow cars. There were hundreds of thousands of cars stuck on the streets that were junk that wouldn't start because from the water. So he was going to go down there for like a month or 2 months. So we got hooked up, and he rented a house out there. So on the way there, he was like, "Dude, you guys you guys can crash here." So that worked out. He says, "You guys cook." He says, "You guys can crash here. Just Joe's got to cook us something." So we get down to Houston, where we get to the house, and I don't know if we cooked anything that first day, but anyways, we still didn't really have a plan. We just had a van full of stuff.
The first thing is done. You're already there. So
yeah, we're there. Van full of stuff, not knowing what we're gonna do with that. So on the way there, as we're putting videos, the GoFundMe start raising some money. People start giving money because they see us that we're actually like gonna go do this. So Snap-on got involved, and the local office, they donated to me like $1,000 in free tools for me to be able to go sell, so that I can repay like the money. So in other words, $1,000 worth of stuff.
You had they gave you free tools.
Free tools for me to sell to donate. And they said, well, if you don't really have a plan, why don't you try to get hooked up with a Snap-on dealer down in Houston, because maybe he might know some people that were affected by the storm. So we got down there, and that's like the first thing we did. I called him. He didn't call me back. Now this is 2 weeks later after the hurricane. So I was like, man, are we like too late?
Too late, yeah.
Did everything already happen? Because where we were on the highway, you don't really see.
There was no damage.
You didn't really see any damage along the highway down there. So we ended up finding there was this church. They were doing collections. So we went to this church. We walked there, and they had so much stuff already. So we were confused because it was like, all right, there's all this stuff here. There's not really anybody here getting anything. So again, we thought we missed it. Too late. So what it was, the church they were not able to go bring the stuff to the people. The people had to go there. Problem is the people couldn't go there because a lot of them didn't have no cars or nothing. Right. So it was like, to me, it was like working backwards, So we left a few things there, but we didn't want to leave too much. We were like, all right, we're just going to come here and leave all of our stuff here.
Right. You
We
don't
don't
know
even
where
see the people. We don't
yeah.
even see where it's going. It could sit here for years and does not do nothing. So, anyways, that Snap-on dealer from down south, he ended up calling me finally, and he says, "Hey, listen, I got a couple of my shops got some damage. You know, if you wanted to go by that, I'm sure they would appreciate it. Maybe if you got some waters and different things like that, you could drop it off to them." So like, all right, yeah, no problem. So we go and we go to this place, and sure enough, it had been underwater. Like all the sheetrock was gone. They had taken it all down because it was all,
Yeah.
So we left them some cases of water and stuff, and we started asking him like, how come we don't see anything? And he explained to us that most of the damage was along the river because the river flooded and all the water came over. So whoever lives next to the river, it's usually like low income people because the houses are
Right.
cheaper there because it always floods, I guess.
They got more affected.
Yeah. So we start driving through the neighborhoods along the river. That's where that shop was. And then we start seeing like people's belongings, possessions all in the street, like garbage everywhere. Just just devastation, you know. So we just start driving through the neighborhood and we start giving people like asking people if they need help, and we're giving them like a lot of big things like bleach to like clean the molds and all that stuff. So we were giving people bleach, just like household supplies like socks, towels, toothpaste, basic things like that. And as we were doing this, we were putting more videos on Facebook and on the GoFundMe and everything. Now people from like our towns that knew us, they were seeing what we were doing. So that compelled them to like want to donate because they were seeing their money, their hard-earned money, being put to use on the ground level. So we ended up being down there. I want to say we were down there for like three days. Stayed there for 3 days, and we raised between the GoFundMe and the regular thing, we raised $11,000.
Wow.
We were able to go to Costco and BJ's down in Houston another 2 more times. So we had a full van, and we were able to fill 2 more vanfuls and just driving through neighborhoods, like asking people if they needed anything.
Just hand it out.
Yeah, and like people were confused, like who are you guys?
These guys are
like,
how do you say
we were not connected to no
charity,
we were not connected to any organization.
Yeah.
And people were like, "Who are you?" We're like, "Oh, we're just 2 guys."
We drove from Massachusetts.
Yeah, we drove from Massachusetts. We're just 2 guys. That's it. And dude, it was an awesome experience, man. I think at that point in my life, I don't know if at that time I was really too spiritual at that time, like a little bit. I was going to church, but I really wasn't really living a good like a spiritual like life at that point. But that opportunity like re-sparked that in me because God is the one who got us there, and I can look at all that and those situations and see like we were doing God's work there, just helping people. Like, dude, people were crying, hugging us. Like, it was amazing experience. And it just matches that saying, like, it's better to give than to receive. When you help people like that,
you receive without
you're getting way more than what the people are getting. The people got material possessions, hugs, things like that. And don't get me wrong, I know we affected some people immensely, but those people have affected us till forever.
Right.
Because
you got like a instant give back. From the experience.
Yeah. Oh no, it was huge, bro. It was like nothing. I've never done anything in my life to that level with that, and knowing that God directed us there in that manner.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah. It's and the people were so proud of us, like our friends and everything. Like people were, messaging us and different things like that, and it's just a great feeling. And really, a lot of like what this boils down to, I think, is like we're here on Earth And like, what's your story going to say about you after you die?
What are you gonna leave?
What are you going to leave behind? What legacy are you going to leave behind? What's the story about you that what are people going to remember you by? What are people going to talk about you at your funeral about?
Well, that's
You know what I'm saying? People don't realize that houses, cars, money, all those things.
that stays behind.
My dad, my dad passed away like a year and a half ago, and my dad was a hard worker. Never really took any risks. And my dad had a love for like some of his material
Right.
possessions. You know what I mean? My dad wasn't very spiritual or anything like that. My dad loved his cars. So before my dad, my dad had a little bit older Porsche, but it was his Porsche. He loved the car and he took his drives and he did all these things. In the last few months of his life, he had cancer, and he had some struggles due to cancer. And never once did he mention this car. Never once did he mention any of his material things. Because none of that's really that important.
Wasn't important anymore.
When you're dying on your deathbed, none of that's important. You know what's important? What people are gonna think about you after you're gone. And I think that through everything that I'm doing, like yes, I'm better. The material possessions aren't the focus of what I'm doing. The focus of what I'm doing is the legacy that I'm leaving behind. And at the end, I hope I die with nothing. Give it all to charity.
People, yeah.
Whatever's left over, give it to people who need it. I don't even say I'm going to give it to my family members, because my family members, they're all hardworking people, and they're all going to be, have a good financial life for themselves. That I don't need to leave behind what I amass to anybody. Whatever's left behind, it'll all go to the poor.
Because you're not gonna be here to
No,
enjoy anything.
No, and that's the thing, right? So
you can't take it with you.
Yeah, you can't take it with you, and I think, I want to, as I get older, the more, I hope I'm able to give back, so I can see before I die the help I was able to impact. Yeah, the impact I was able to make on people's lives.
Man, that's amazing. And I didn't know that part about you, because I know you're a successful man. You have an amazing story, but that part of like wanted to help others. You don't want to grow financial like just for you.
Yeah.
You want to give back.
Yeah.
And that's
yeah, you have to. There has to be something else, dude. Greed is a very ugly thing. Jealousy, greed, those things are they damage society so much, because people are so self-centered and they only care about themselves. And if we took a step back and took ourselves out of the situation and looked at the others around us, you're able to see that you have more to offer to others than what you could ever do for yourself.
Right.
And the more you give to others, and the more you help out, and the more selfless acts of kindness that you do for others, you grow so much more through those things, and God provides you with so much more, dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I shouldn't be in the position that I'm in. You know what I'm saying? I've done so many bad things in my life and mistakes, but I've learned from my mistakes, and I've gained like wisdom through my mistakes.
And you changed. You did something to change.
Yeah, because I always say this thing is there's three types of people in this world, and I think I might have told you this once. You got people who are able to learn from other people's mistakes. So those people live their life, and they're smart enough to see the mistakes that other people make, and they're able to avoid these different, like, getting off the path,
right?
Conflicts, negative things. Then you got other people we all make mistakes. Everybody's gonna make mistakes. There's no perfect people out there except for Jesus Christ. You got people who learn from their own mistakes, which is where category that I fall into. I was stubborn. and needed to see things for myself, experience things for myself, experience my poor choices for myself. But I was able to overcome those mistakes and those negative things and those bad things that happened in my life, and were able to turn it around,
Do something better.
and do something better. And hopefully, while I'm doing what I'm doing, be able to inspire and help people who have been in similar situations like
Definitely.
me.
You inspire me right now.
Yeah. Or to be able to help people who might be on a path to destruction or on a path to poor life choices. If you could stop them, if I could be that person that helps let somebody else learn from my mistakes, that's my goal. You know what I'm saying? Then you have other people, they're hopeless. They're never going to learn from anybody's mistakes. No matter their mistakes, other people's mistakes, and they just keep living in that thing until they die.
Keep doing the same
until
mistakes.
They're in jail. Same mistakes over and over again. Never learning. And that's sad. Because I could have ended up in the gutter, bro.
Yeah.
I could have ended up, my drug abuse could have got much worse.
Yeah, you could have died.
My girlfriend could have left me.
Yeah.
I could be dead. So, excuse me.
But hey, you're here today.
I'm here today, and I'm here, and I know that, like, I have a lot to offer people, and I'm just kind of starting to now, like, that's kind of like my goal. I want to get, like, try to see if I could do some community outreach, try to see if I get involved, maybe share my story with, like, teens, in school, like schools, either at churches, be a speaker in churches,
Definitely.
things like that. And
I'm actually gonna I do a youth group, so I have some youths that could take that advice.
Yeah. I mean, and there's a lot more. There's a lot to say, with a different audience, depending on the people you're talking to. But yeah,
that's amazing, man.
Yeah,
thank you,
bro,
for being here today and sharing your story.
I appreciate you having me, and see what comes up next.
Oh yeah, man. Hey, if you guys like this story, make sure you like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll be back next week with a new guest and a brand new story just for you. Let me see if I record it.
Oh, Jesus, guys.
It did.